And somehow some people win predictions but lose them at the same time. That was for you, veteran.
Yeah, thanks, Middlecole, by the way, for this. Great. So because I'm correct, I lose. Brilliant. Fantastic. I love it. Brilliant. I love the system.
How can you judge it? You made a prediction.
Should have voted line side.
So the problem that we are running into here, right, is that I put 1 point on this, whereas Aragon put 5 points, which means that if I'd been wrong about Verdant winning, I would actually get a lead over him, assuming that because we've matched on all of the other ones, I get all those points correct. So as a result of that, I would actually be in the lead by losing. That's how it works now. All right? Have you got that? Good.
I'm going to say this out loud. I've been trying my best not to say it, but the way Middlecott, I'm blaming you. The way Middlecott brought in the idea means they will jump into playoffs. In the first place, we'll have like 9 points. After an entire split, you won't even be able to get 2 digits.
Guys,
how
this is a skill issue. This is a skill issue. Everyone just be better at analysing. That's our jobs.
But that doesn't work!
Madness!
I was right and I'm losing! That's true!
Meanwhile,
The thing is,
like,
you weren't right enough, veteran. This is due to your own lack of faith in the Verdant organization, okay? If you'd been willing to slam down all 5 points, veteran, you would be chilling right now.
Then I'd be even, you idiot! I would be even because we both have 5! I can only win by voting less and having them lose!
So, to explain what Veteran is saying, he's looking at Middlecott like, how dare you judge me by my actions? How dare
No, he's wrong! No, if I put all 5, then I would not be able to get a lead today!
Do you know why this is stupid, veteran? Do you know why this is stupid? Because Aragon has put 1 point on natives to win, and you've put 5. So if natives win, it's completely evened up, okay? You are arguing, you are getting heated about
this means
nothing,
I'd be
my
in
guy.
the lead if I'm right on that!
Let's talk about the game, gentlemen. What happened? I want to understand better how NAR was so effective that it ruined Veteran's dreams and hopes of getting 10 points.
Doxy, 1 word, okay? So yes, there was some critical engages that did not go, swimmingly. We will say that. But, realistically speaking, the big lane advantages came from him. The big map advantages came from him. The setup to get on these objective first did come from him. And the reason you didn't see that translate into more is because they were against a poke composition, so they couldn't just start the Baron and stare at them or whatever you would do in your gold games, right? But Doxy, when he was on, and he is the biggest reason that they were able to have a lead for most of it. And I am aware you guys have some certain engaged moments stuck in your head, but it's not all about that, okay?
I understand. Sometimes we miss the idea. It's complicated, and Doxy missed a few engages or even a few CC, but it allowed the team, as you were talking about throughout the entire game, he was allowing the team to step back in because it was not only Verdant picking up the game. Lightside were doing some effective work with that poke composition. Wasn't that right, Middlecott?
Yeah, absolutely. And whilst it is a loss for them, I think that I'm getting a lot more hope for this organisation in terms of the way they are playing out things. I think the J swap into top lane, whilst Doxy was able to sort of do quite well in terms of that matchup, it's an interesting adaptation, and the Cassante mid is definitely something that we're going to have to look out for as well. But I think it was another decent performance coming out from Emp in the jungle. I think whilst the engages that he was being able to find weren't necessarily as dominant as they were against Lion's Creed, I think he was still staying on tempo. He was turning up to a lot of these objectives, and I think that Lightside have shown to us kind of with these this week 2 in general, that this isn't necessarily a team that is going to be at the foot of the standings and could be a team with a lot of growth throughout the split that can reach playoffs.
So that means at the end of the day, we still get the Verdant win. We get some light from Lightside at the end as well. And who knows what's going to happen moving forward. I would like to point out that, yes, we are running some issues right now, and production is doing their best to fix the transmission for you. But it's just like my gameplay. It takes a little while. It's complicated, but we got to trust it. It takes a little while. Don't worry. The next game will be Rudy versus... Well, let me just make sure that I'm saying this correct. What?
Rudy.
It's Rudy versus
Rudy.
Natives.
Rudy.
Ready? Man, I always miss that one. It's ready, right? It's ready. I'm
No,
always
I'm pretty sure
Ruddy
it's
up.
Rudy. I'm pretty sure it's Rudy.
It's ready?
Yeah, no, it is Rudy. It is Rudy.
I'm not British. I'm the only one.
It's
It's ruddy up. It's ruddy up, all right?
Ruddy
Like,
up.
shout outs to the ruddy party that's happening right now. They do a viewing party every single week, actually.
Every
so
single
shout outs
day,
to those
yeah.
guys,
So
yes.
join it because we keep talking about that one. But Ready versus Natives, what can we expect from this one? This could be a bloodshed, and I think there's a lot of people voting for one and for the other. I want to know more.
I'm interested in mid because Alex is basically what Selfie was when he made his debut into the EULCS all the way back in Season 4. He was a big Yasuo one-trick. He had that hyper-aggressive playstyle. He's calmed down over these. You know, he's got an oldie, he's got an Wazer, he's gotten the beard, he's got the Yoda cane, and he talks a lot about feeling things for the Force, right? But back in the day, my god, my man's was a beast in the lightsaber in episode 2, okay? And now he's against the guy who's in the prime of his really super fast prequel lightsaber battles in Alex. That guy bashes out the Yone, that guy bashes out the melees, he goes all in all the time. His aggression leads to significant advantages that you wouldn't otherwise expect because everyone has a plan until they get lightsabered in the face or something like that, you know?
It's valid.
Yeah, I think we took that metaphor for a walk, maybe a little bit longer than we necessarily needed to. But I think that the point really stands, and I think Ruddy, as a general play style, sort of building off from Alex, are very aggressive. And when that's into situations that are winning, it looks absolutely fantastic. But I think what we've seen from them is that they can be a little bit risk blind at times. And I think that's ultimately what meant that they ended up taking that L against Lions Creed when they were in positions where they maybe could have got the win. Also, a few unforced errors coming out from Silky Smouth and Built at times. So I think this is a group of players, a roster that is very, very raw, but there is obvious skill there, where I look on the other side at Natives, and I think there is a little bit more polish there, right? We're talking about Selfie, obviously very veteran player, has been around for a while. Yaki, I think, is one of the better junglers that we've had in the NLC for quite a while. I'm really glad to have him back. I think he's super stable. Yeah, we've got those elements that are a little bit more chaotic. I'm thinking about Rusty Sniper and Smurfette coming through from the top lane. But if you're looking at a core, I think that Natives offer a bit more stability. And if Reddy keep making these over-aggressive maneuvers, I think that's where Natives might be able to get the edge today.
So we're talking about a team, and we've heard Don Jake talking about this, the fact that they don't have a coach, and it actually hit them on the previous game. They could have done so much more. So on one side, we have people that are beginning their career and they're actually getting together without some guidance, which is quite important, and people often disregard that one. It's not a solo queue, it's a competitive environment. It's completely different. On the other side, they have the experience. So this could be a clash between learning and already have that knowledge. So the talent has to be raw enough to bypass that knowledge.
I mean, I do think that Natives are essentially playing against younger versions of themselves, right?
Yes.
And I do think that you'll probably get a lot of instances in the early game where the younger people do end up with a lead, because these guys are going for those skirmish-based compositions similar to Venom Crest. It's just all about individual bursts. It's all about winning the 2v2, 3v3. It's all about going all in on level 6 all the time. And Natives, they've been there, done that. They've had their time doing it. They're fully happy because they know once Tier 2s come into play, they're going to play the map better. They're going to play it like a trained group that has done this all before. That's the brick wall that Ruddy are going to hit at some point, and they have to smash their way past that wall, because right now, that's the only way that they know how to play. They only know how to be aggressive, how to go all in, and try to smash that wall.
I do want to add the caveat, though. Natives haven't been mistake-free, and I think that bot lane, particularly, of Rusty Sniper and Shami Katami, those are players that can be exploited. I think the first game of the split, there were multiple occasions where Rusty was getting caught out under his tower, not burning flash when he needed to, and we've seen some positioning errors out of the support as well, which has meant he's got caught, which has slowed down a lot of Natives games. It hasn't really led to too many losses. I think in terms of the map and obviously in terms of the game, this is a team that is 2-1, but there are angles there that can be exploited if we see Natty Nat going into the bot lane early and aggressively.
So we got a little bit of insight from both teams so far. We are on day 4, so we already know a little bit about them. What sort of champions can we expect from Ruddy to actually win versus a composition from Natives, and what can Natives do versus Roddy, in terms of champion select? Because we're about to jump into that one, so I
Yeah.
would like to know a little bit more.
My head is about getting a Kali, it's about getting Yone against a most likely probable Azir pick, right? If you can get Selfie onto these majors early on in the draft and then counter pick accordingly, I think that's the best way for Ruddy to do it. It's going to be all of these post-6 stuff. I think if natives want to do something in, I look at the pools that Ruddy like to do, and I start thinking, okay, ADTF mid now looks really viable and is in a really, really good spot right now. These kinds of juicy picks that I know players like Selfie actually can play. But I'm not sure what they're going to do. Obviously, if you can get comfort for Rusty Sniper, do that. He is going to be the soft spot on that team to break. He's the guy that's most likely to hesitate later on. But, you know, talking about hesitation, Rusty Sniper's never really felt like a thing that does go well together. I think there are going to be times where this guy, maybe he doesn't burn flash to live on bot there, but that's because he's looking to flash aggressively in a big objective team fight, because this guy is a Draven player through and through. So that it's not like it's just a completely calm natives team. If they can get something aggressive onto Rusty Sniper, maybe they can try to do something of that.
Middle, what can you tell me then?
Well,
Do you agree 100%? Yeah.
Well, no, well, as veteran says, usually I do. But I think also for Ruddy as well, we can look at these scaling bot lanes. I really like Silky Smath's Seraphine because it enables a lot of the bruisers that we do see coming out from the top side. And so I think we've almost got this dichotomy of Ruddy esports where you've got this super ham top side led by Natty Nat and Alex coming through that want to be going aggressive, want to be diving all the time. And that can lead to interesting scenarios that maybe don't benefit you too much. But once you get into the mid game, once you get into the late game, a champion like Seraphine buffs up and enables those divers so incredibly well. So
Yeah.
I think for Ruddy, it really is that sort of yin and yang. It's that calmness in the bottom lane, and that's aggression in the top side. If the aggression is too much, then they end up falling down. And if they stay too calm in the bottom lane, then I think they can be exploited. So I think this is a team, a roster that really needs to find balance of those two identities. And if they find that balance, they do have a chance against a much more experienced side.
So
The nice way to talk about Natty Nat, I think, is volatile. Because it's difficult to call it. I feel like he is definitely a very, very scrappy player, but a lot of those times aren't necessary. It's not necessarily even his intent to get into the weeds there. The guy that keeps benefiting from all of this is Alex. I do think that guy is just a hyper-aggressive player in general. I do agree with you. I think having some calmness in the bot lane would be great. If you can keep playing around topside, around that volatility, around those fights that are very likely to happen, and get your big capitalize on the mid lane there, that is definitely the Ruddy route to win.
But pointing out one specific lane, I really like to do this one, is what is your lane to watch? Because you keep preaching about
Yes.
him, and I'm part of the church by now. Alex is a beast. Nulo is Nulo. So is this the lane to watch in this matchup?
Yes. Nulu, aka Selfie, aka many different names actually that he has taken in the past. Corey shoutouts. That is the lane, right? That is what the whole game's going to pivot around for both Ruddy and for natives in different ways. The other lanes are set up in ways to enable that midsection to function. Problem is, right, I think Jakey is not going to allow it to be the strict 1v1 because this guy does like to play the wide map. If you actually want a singular player that's definitely going to make a difference, it's likely to be Jakey. But the lane to watch is mid. Jakey, just calm down. It doesn't really exist today. You know, who cares? Let them have their lightsaber fight.
The lightsaber comes back in again. I love this analysis. Also, if you are the best at predicting anything, head on to Twitter and put in your predictions for the week. You might win a wireless mouse. We just got evidence that the first person who won it already has the mouse in her possession. I know the person, in fact, it's a long fan of the Northern League of Legends Championship. And the first thing production has said was, this could have been yours, Middlecott.
I don't know. Wait, I forgot to do them today! No! No!
So not only do you ruin our predictions with that weird game, but you also ruin yours.
Oh! No, I'm... God damn it. Oh, no, this is genuinely ruined my evening. No. For those of you that don't know, I've been running off quite an interesting mouse for the last few years.
Please.
Looks
indulge
like
me.
looks like that.
Wow.
Fun fact, Archon, this is actually a unique mouse with unique technology because the left mouse button can actually be removed.
Wow. That is the
rejoined
esports winter
for
right there, guys.
optimum-
That is the economy.
And then, yeah, that is the mouse of an Udyr and Master Yi main. So, good stuff. And I really wanted a new one. So, unfortunately, that's going to be delayed for another week, which is great.
As we jump into Champion Select, I just want to say...
Oh, it's gone! Bait
I'm-
those picks, guys. Bait them. You have so many things you could play into it. Alright,
Oh,
they've
gosh.
removed the Azir, though. The Rengar is gone. You're never getting scrims against that thing. Fair enough on that. The Seraphine's gone, so Middlecott's recommendation is out of here.
I mean,
is
this
gonna be an
should just be
interesting one.
Riven taken off the board as well, right, from natives. I think Rengar Riven have just been banned against Built and Natinat every single game. But if they do leave the Riven open, I think that is possibly a bait here because she isn't a champion that traditionally succeeds in comp. But Built is literally the best Riven on the server.
Okay, I'll let the Alois fans argue that in the chat. But when it comes to... I do think that you should look to bait picks that you know are guaranteed by the enemy if you leave them open. Removing the Yone from Alex is a big one. That increases the viability of a lot of mage picks in mid lane. Leaving the Riven open does mean, okay, we have a plan for that. I do think if you can control the enemy onto certain picks, unless they're just auto-winning picks, then you should do that. So it does feel to me like they have a plan. I know who's about to tweet at the NLC about this now. Uncle Victor's presence is now known. Victor has been locked into natives, which means that, just to point this out to Middlecott, when both me and Aragon are wrong, Aragon is going to be wrong to a lesser extent, so I'm going to lose out again. So brilliant.
I don't think that's how it works, but I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go through with you. Not gonna be going into the Riven here for Ruddy unless this is a Rumble Flex. Natinat gonna be having another game of the Jin Zhao. I'm hoping that he is a little bit more tempered in his aggression, but this has just been the premier jungle pick on 14.1b.
We're heading on to the second phase of bans. I do enjoy the way natives are building up their composition. It seems like a massive team fight potential on the other side. It's the meta. You have whatever you want right now. But putting the Aatrox versus the Rumble, this is quite an interesting matchup. There's a one-trick pony of Aatrox that does a lot of content for YouTube, and he talks about this match often. And there's a way to play it, no doubt, but it's not the easiest one. Although Nautilus is going to be removed, so that focus is going for the support lane. Although I think both teams should be looking for that one, even though we don't have that jungler yet picked. It should be the Aatrox top unless we had some surprise coming in from natives. The J is to remove another one of those weird lanes, and more poke coming in with the Vados. So what else can Ruddy take out of this one?
I mean, Rumble is so good here into double low mobility that's being immediately locked in, right? The Xin Zhao does have issues going in, but playing back as part of an overall kite composition, I think is just insane for Ruddy here. That is, though, something difficult for rookies to be able to pull off. I'm interested to see the full mid response in towards a Victor. Everything that I would normally consider would be some kind of artillery mage, and that's not something you generally consider with Alex.
Yeah, and also not something you really want to play against Avai, right? The reason that she's picked is she just finds access onto you on the backline, kind of regardless of where you're standing. I am intrigued, though, that we are seeing another Vi here, because I haven't really been seeing too much of it from other comp leagues, although maybe I'm missing something. Still, got the potential of this Ashe being flexed down into support role as well. I just want to mention that. Could very easily go into ADC. Rusty Sniper likes the champion. I think it is also just generally quite strong. We asked for something kind of crazy out from Alex, and I think the Aurelia fits into the exact same bill as the Akali and as the Yone.
This will be quite funny if the opening salvos don't work out, because I've watched Alex play Aurelia before. I watched him play it in Div 2 Italian League, and it ended up going quite hilarious after the first death, because he kept going and he kept going and he kept going and he kept going, and I really do respect it, and it eventually did work after 5 deaths. So this is a champion he has full confidence on. The Blitzcrank, though, you want to talk about something that abuses double low mobility, that is big. Ashe, Victor, very, very vulnerable into a Blitz pick. You only need to land that hook once, and it is game-changing. Just ask Alvaro, had a big performance of it on the LEC. Despite having a lot of deaths early, you land that hook at the critical time and you win. Braum is actually a pretty good setup into that. Braum is not a guy you want to hook in at all. He is not a guy you can just insta-kill. So he could try to body block, but if that Blitz gets that one hook off in late game, suddenly, natives, they could have to ruddy up.
So, last thoughts before we jump into game. Middle court is on you.
So I really like the Braum specifically, not just into the Blitzcrank, but also into the Jhin, into the Irelia in the Rumble. You've got a lot of melee carries here who maybe the Rumble a little bit less, but can go forward and jump on top of your team and really cause a lot of damage. Braum passive is just absolutely insane against that, especially against Irelia. If you can disrupt her as she is diving forward, then she pretty much gets blown up. She's not particularly tanky, but she's got a lot of sustain, both in her kit and in the items she builds, so I think that's a potential vulnerability. I think, Ruddy, they've got a lot of aggressive tools here, like you were talking about, to punish the low mobility here on the side of natives, so
Yep.
I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards them, because I kind of just don't like Victor as a champion either.
5:30
yeah.
mid. That's the big timer that we're looking at, right? If Braum and Vi can be at 5:30 on mid lane and we can make sure that Irelia does not one-tap the Victor, then that could be good for natives, right? And then later on, if Ashe control is enough to sight out the Blitz, if they can all be careful and not allow the Blitz to get onto their carries, that is the next big step. But it's going to be a tense game all the way through until that point, and I need them to win, because if they lose, I drop 5 of my points, Aragon only drops 1 of his points, and that's a really bad situation. I need this win.
So let's see who's going to be able to revive their will to fight for the mountain out of these two teams. Whoever loses, don't worry, you can ask for advice from Middle Court because in the Necromancer, the way he's treating his mouse. Let's toss it to the casters while waiting to jump into Summoner's Rift.
Not happy, Archeron. I'm not happy. There's two main things. One is actually we've just been revealed that Middle Court is in fact a Dark Sorcerer and is keeping his mouse alive way beyond its natural lifespan, and just let it die, man. Just let it die. Stop using the zombie mouse. 2, Natty Nat, look at me. You can't go hovering Eve like that and then disappointing me. Look, don't do that to me. I'm gonna get very angry. Look, I've even got...
Is that Evelyn Art?
Post it.
Wow. Okay.
It is. It was a Christmas present I got. It was a display I got for Christmas. It's unfortunately black because I forgot I had that setting on my camera. But you kind of got the vague idea. It's blurred out like my tears are internally right now, and I'm just angry. You know, in fact, I'm more than that. I'm just disappointed. I expected more from Ruddy. I think that would have been just really fun to have that in there, and instead I just have to sit here and imagine what could have been, Rude Dudes.
Yeah.
Imagine what could have been.
We could have had just a useless jungler in for Ruddy, and now we have the best jungler on the patch. So
You might have a point.
Ruddy,
but
Ruddy, you need to hire a
that's-
coach. You need to hire a coach,
exactly.
guys.
You could have.
Can't keep getting draft gaps like this. Not picking Evelyn instead
Yeah,
of
I know.
picking Zins
Shocking,
out.
shocking.
Concern
have a point.
and
I hate
disapproval
that.
on our side. So
I hate that.
Take that on board. Free coaching from the analyst desk or from the caster desk. You're welcome. I do want to quickly touch on the Ruddy composition because there is a lot to like about it. This is definitely a little bit more solo queue, a little bit more expressive in terms of your skill level with champions like Irelia, like Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank, if you hook the wrong champion, you lose the game. If you hook the right champion, you win the game. So double-edged sword in that facet. And Irelia as well. You can win mid lane at level 2. You can also lose mid lane at level 2. So we shall see.
I mean, it's a lot of very volatile matchups, right? You know, Irelia, notoriously volatile. You've got the Xin Zhao wants to go in, is not necessarily volatile, but certainly very aggro. And that helps what you're going on. You look at the top lane, kind of volatile. You look at the bot lane, you've drafted the Blitzcrank, volatile. And it basically means that if Ruddy managed to find that one lane, that one chink in the armor to start the snowball rolling, they can start turning that into an avalanche very, very quickly indeed. And on the other side, we're going to have to see a little bit more ability to hold the line. That Braum pick, I think, as the desk was saying, very sensible. Very much in line of trying to defend against what could be some very scary early aggression. Already a level 1 starting Alex. Dear. I think sure it's a half-life. I think it's just no life. Dead to rights for first blood going over towards Jakey's vibe.
I honestly, now, this is nitpicky. There's a world where you can give that over to one of the carries. Now, Yakey, of course, is going to get to go back to base, have himself a longsword, potentially an extra potion as well. The good thing from Alex there, I will say, they didn't burn Flash, right? Recognize as soon as I've got hit by Braum's Q, I am dead.
It's over.
And there's no way of avoiding that. But Edvard now, maybe in a little bit of trouble also. Fortunately, it's Nulu leading the charge, so level 1 Victor, not necessarily the most threatening of champions, let's say.
Already the Vi's gone back and picked up an early longsword, feeling very pleased about that indeed. At least in terms of the lane matchup, it's not going to change too much as it stands. Alex, currently, I went looking up his stats. He's 3-1 all time on the Aurelia. Just below here is Zed, which is 4-1. But very comfortable on both of the champions. Obviously, very aggressive. A lot of play on the likes of Syndra as well. So, certainly, I'm sure, having played enough of this champion, there's been in a few situations where things haven't always gone right at the level 1.
No, I mean, Veteran was talking about a certain Division 2 PG Nats
Indeed.
game where we had potentially 5 deaths on the Aurelia prior to finding 1 kill.
Hey,
That is
casual.
gonna happen. It's gonna happen occasionally when you pick the Aurelia champion, but I am quite excited for this matchup, not just for the players, but for the organizations really as a whole, initialize.
Exactly that. And we were sort of talking about this in the break. Actually, like, natives are reigning champs for this for this league. They are a long-standing, well-respected, and often quite dominant org that have been around for a little while. On the other side, Ruddy are the upstarts. Not just the upstarts, they're kind of the bolshy, content-creating, identity, iconoclastic in a lot of ways, organization to join the league and try and do something a bit differently. And it means we've got a clash not only of very young players versus incredibly veteran players, but also just quite different styles of organization in the first place.
And with that as well, we have to hold this point because Natty Nat is looking topside. Smurfy is not level 3 yet.
Speaking of early aggression and being a little bit bolshy, an early dive, and Smurfy flashes early, and will unfortunately realise that's not going to keep him alive, and Ignite secures first blood, and that should get out of tower any more chaos can occur.
That is a very well executed dive on the top side. Natty Nat, what you'll see there is he prepped his Q3 before he actually took aggro. So Smurfy, no matter what, flash, dash, doesn't matter what you're going to try and put through. The first instance of damage is CC. Really well played, and then as soon as that happens, Bill layers the Ignite, starts falling out the full combo. As Nulu.
Flash gets it! It's over! And now, of course, Shawi Kotami tries to come towards the mid lane, but I just don't think it's going to matter that much. Yeah, you get the kill back, but you burn the Ignite, you burn the Flash, and it's only a 1-for-1. The damage done.
I will say, though, that's a good wave state for Nulu. It's going to be a massive minion wave that he's going to be able to collect, and that's probably a whole wave that Alex loses underneath the Victor's turret. TP's in so he can try and reset. This is actually a world for Shawi Kotami to stick around, for Yaki as well to stay there, try and force this Aurelia to be in a bit of trouble, but that wave, it does crash under the turret, so we're sort of crisis averted for Alex in the mid lane. Still think the XP advantage for Nulu is going to be fairly impactful, though, for the remainder of this laning phase. Small part of the early game that we need to take note of are our junglers, right? Obviously, Natty Nat went up to that top side and found a gank in the top lane, went back to the D-Blade, but Yaki picked up the entire bot side of this Xin Zhao. He's now level 4, working his way very closely toward level 5, and has got more than double the amount of camps that Natty Nat has. So he's,
The opportunity cost is high. Yeah.
It is, exactly.
And Natty Nat is going to throw a ward over there, maybe come to steal some Krugs and get some stuff back, of course. Vi is just entering the jungle, so I think Natty Nat's going to want to smite this one nice and early, so they're not having to deal with what will amount to a bit of an engage. We'll now know where the Vi is on the Raptors, and that will give a little bit more knowledge on how long they have to go before trouble arrives. But Natty Nat gets in. Maybe actually look to get on top of Smurfy, who is overextended a little bit here. Built still has got the flash. In goes Natty Nat. Flash on forward for the Electro Harpoon. Won't get as much as they were hoping for, and built flash for that one as well. So Smurfy kind of getting quite a lot out of there as Yaki comes on over. 3 talent strike lands, and actually they're going to try and play this one out. Just get so much damage. They've gone way too deep. Yaki burns on down, and it's just too far.
Yeah, there's just a massive wave there for natives, so Ruddy fighting into that. Definitely going to struggle.
Oh, gosh. Built, no flash. Goes around the Scap Shield, trying to get under the tower, and we'll get out to safety for now. Electro Harpoon comes down, but remember, no flash and no teleport critically. He's got the Ignite, so if he leaves, that's just so much lost. I think the problem is, if he stays, what happens? Natty Nat respawned on his way back out. It's now level 6 for Smurfy, who will bring in the World Ender, lands those Infernal Chains, trying to get some burn back, gets the reset. Yaki will run afoul of Natty Nat, but it's still going to be a 1v2. I don't think you can take this. It's an absolute disaster. The side of Ruddy is in the mid lane. Nulu gets a solo kill. An audacious charge towards the walls, but they're not giving up quite yet. Finally leave the Xin Zhao alone, and the center skull of Demacia gets away for now, but it is not looking good on the top side as bot lane is exactly the same scenario. Shui Kitami
maybe
gets
not.
pulled back in, and it is just 5 for Rudy, who Silksmath gets a hold of that one. Rusty Sniper now in danger. Aware of a potential knock-up from the Blitzcrank, but can't quite get in range and doesn't want to the flash. Get that one back, but it is a lot of chaos very early on here, largely favouring natives.
Yeah, a very slim silver lining on the bot side for Ruddy, but natives coming away massively on that top side. The level lead for Yaki, obviously by nature of those few camps that he was able to take away from that dive. Plus Smurfy playing that top wave very efficiently as well. Knew as soon as that wave had begun to crash, he had to back away. Baited 99 just a bit too far forward. Built flashes ultimately for nothing. Ends up going down as well, losing a big wave onto his turret. A lot of good things for natives. The gold lead may only be 1,000, but I think that the important part of these solo lanes specifically is the experience. You can see currently level 6 to level 6, but that mid lane as well is very important because Nulu found a solo kill in the mid lane after having been solo killed by Alex. Again, by nature of that experience
Ain't done.
lead.
Yaki back towards topside. Junglers have spent a lot of the game up here. Built gonna try and play this one up best they can, but just knows he's dead to rights. Gives that one over in the mid lane. Alex in a 1v2 as Shoei Kitami gets over here before anyone else can respond. And this Braum has been out roaming the Blitzcrank and making this mid lane matchup way more unbalanced than it could have been. 4th death for Alex. 1 and 4 now and looking a little bit dicey.
Only one more before he hits the fabled Alex Aurelia power spike, so keep going, buddy. We'll get there soon.
That's a silver lining.
It is indeed, but the silver lining really for natives, I mean, far from, they've got so much to boast about right now, is Nulu not only very
Natty
far
Nat,
ahead.
No! There's a level 6 available. Natty Nat can go absolutely nowhere. I think he's renamed to Nighty Night because he is being put into the long, long sleep of death. The equalizer comes on down. Out comes the cease and the desist, and it will leave the Rumble deceased, but not before Alex comes on over. And might start turning this one around. Could begin to throw some more. He's got the passive still fully stacked. We'll get more. Nulu does go down. Now they can go over the wall. Another option for the Q on forward. Blade surging his way to a couple kills back. It actually ends up being a 2 for 2 as Alex comes on over, and despite being 1 and 4, is cracking his neck and picking up some gold.
And almost has that Blade of the Ruin King finished as well on reset from this wave. Could be able to pick that one up, and then that snowballs the mid lane matchup right back into his favor as well. First completed item for the Aurelia going to be very impactful. Now Nulu, I do want to touch on this quickly, has got 6 takedowns already early on. Now for Victor, those are very important because upgrading your Hex Core is so important, and one thing that Victor early game really struggles with is a wave clear. We've just seen that case in point. Very, very easy for him now that he's got the E upgrade. But also, if he works towards getting those slowing abilities, that's when you got the perfect Hex Core. Usually you need, 200 CS plus in a slow game. But with 6 takedowns, that's 150 stacks already picked up. Basically, for just participating in the game.
And I love that we have seen out of this mid lane kind of exactly what we were kind of hoping for. It feels archetypal in some ways. Alex, rookie, aggressive, bloodthirsty, Aurelia, Yone style player. Gets some amazing plays, then also goes a little deep, perhaps not aware of where perhaps the Braum is a couple times in a row. We're also seeing Nulu, veteran player, coming in on the... Exactly that. Ash Arrow comes on through, and story time has to wait for a moment. But this time Edward's here, gets the haul back, and that might mean a very dead Braum. Throwing up the Chaos Storm, trying to get something. Alex on a killing spree. Now even in kills and deaths, trying to play this out best they can. Doing so much damage, the wind becomes lightning, goes a little while, and the gravity field comes on down. Built has roamed to try and support any more action, but it's not going to amount to too much, and they do get the kill. They get to pull away, and despite the Ash Arrow landing, it's Ruddy that come away on top there.
Yeah, it's a good idea from Rusty Sniper. Nulu probably has lethal on the Aurelia, but as soon as there's a Xin Zhao, as soon as there's a Blitzcrank there, Nulu again respectfully has to back away. Gets himself out. Stun lands.
Oh, it's a 1v2, but not for long as Natty Nat is there, and Alex is swift enough with the Blade Surge to get away to safety.
There's something so satisfying about watching these Aurelia, any Aurelia player, just knowing exactly what their limits are. Went in, dipped back out, knew he had the wave there, just able to dance on that fine line, making sure Kitami's time just a little bit wasted. We haven't really seen too much action down from this bot side, and you can see that in the build path as well. Hold on.
That's action! That's a death!
Well, you know
That's one of those actions you can ask for!
Yeah. All right. Cheers. Edvard, here's me, goes, hold on. Rude. I got you, buddy. Pulls out Rusty Sniper, and again, this is one of those instances where we're seeing Rusty die with flashing lane. Unfortunately, you have to flash those hooks, and now Nulu, caught on the wrong side of that wall, in fact, has a support here because he doesn't have a place to be bot lane.
Exactly that, and Edward being outroamed a little bit by Shawikatami early, was in mid lane, so much was the Braum, and suddenly lands a couple very key hooks and gets some very key kills over onto the members we're looking for. Alex taking a bit low with that Blade of the Ruin King, should be okay to stay in lane. Nice use of the Death Ray there to zone off Alex away from that minion, which I'm sure he would have loved to execute and claim the additional CS. Has been bleeding a little bit of that. Nulu doing a good job of denying some of that flash!
Oh my gosh.
He just doesn't miss! Now trying to get the final kill, does get it. Alex tries to heal the way to safety and can't quite make it work. It will be the 1-for-1. But Edward just does it in style.
I know, this is a very strong Blitzcrank performance. I think overall, that's actually still worth it for Natives, unfortunately, because they got a plate. They also got a shutdown. Alex had 600 gold on his head. That went the way of Nulu, who's, as you mentioned initially, has been farming very well. He's actually finished off that first item already, working his way quite handily toward a second as well. When you've got that needlessly large rod, you're feeling very good on a recall as a mage in the mid lane, so this victory is going to be the target.
Oh, Bill, cease and desist. We'll throw down an equalizer, but I don't think there's that much to equalize, but does actually dissuade the dive now. The flash has to be burned alongside the ultimate and will be zoned away from anything resembling this wave, and I don't think any support's coming anytime soon, so Bill just has to sit here and feel quite sad about his options.
Yeah, it's a top lane island moment, but the enemy team kind of bought a rock-fired pirate ship as well. And it wasn't too great.
Right, reminder though, because Vi showed top, it means Natty Nat can come on in and force Rusty Sniper and Shawikatami away from their own bot lane tier 1. So that will even up the plates difference at the very least. And Silksmith, remember, has actually been doing pretty okay in this lane, getting himself a solid lead as, yeah, I think R might be a good one. I think it's more like the scream of pain, but I'm not going to quite go for the voice acting there, so we'll get the notes after the cast, mate. But it's a dead rumble.
It is, and that's a 2-level advantage as well for Smurfer on that top side. This the couple ganks that we've seen from Yaki, just that one there is really snowballing itself now. Yeah, and despite the fact that Natty Nat, went top lane, dove Smurfer at level 2, TP is one hell of a pill. He just caught the majority of the wave anyway and didn't really feel too many repercussions from it.
No, exactly that, and we said these lanes were going to be volatile. The gold is still even. There's still very much a lot for Ruddy to play for, but topside has kind of gone wrong, Smurf, because they didn't leave particularly sharpish. Now about to be in a 1v2, and Alex is not a man to be trifled with. Flawless duet goes wide, as does the Vanguard's edge, and that means a solid flash gets them out of danger. Knock up onto Lulu, hooked onto tower, and Edward just being an absolute menace.
Solo killed him!
In a 1v2! What's going on top side? As Natty Nat goes down, I don't know what's happening anymore.
Okay, so in the game versus Lions Creek, Ruddy looked incredible. They just weren't quite able to finish the job. Their first game of the day, the first game versus Verdant as well, they were behind in week 1. They just don't go quietly, wherever they go, and now Silky Smath's in trouble.
Exactly that. Silksmith trying to get something down here, but the shield comes on up! Alex teleports in and makes sure it is a death that comes deeply. On the other side, Braum gets a kill, and that makes it a little bit of something. It is a 1-for-1 right now. Back away we go. This game has been an absolute bloodbath. Nowhere has been free of the chaos! Nearly steals away that blue buff. Edford landing that hook over. We go towards Alex, who will take a bit of a rough trade there from Yaki. Throws down awards afterwards, and I think finally we might have a moment to breathe. The gold's 500 different, the kills are 2 different. That's about it.
You say that, there is a Drake on the board, so there's that glance, that opportunity for really a fight to happen at any time. And when you've got a Blitzcrank, when you've got Ruddy, honestly, on your screen, you know that there's a fight to happen pretty much at any moment. Now Natty Nat, not necessarily spotted, but it's going to be now.
Well, I don't hear no bell. We're into round 15. It feels like Natty Nat burning down on top of the equalizer, running away for now, staying alive. Flash forward from Nulu, and the Siphon Power secures it. All the while on the side, Smurfette goes down to Bill, who will flame roast the Ender of Worlds. Rusty Sniper now turning up, though, could prove a real problem. 3-for-1 right now in favor of Natives. Yaki will throw out a Vault Breaker and crack open the can that is Built's mech.
Really exciting performance from Natives this game. They've been able to absorb all of those engagements that Ruddy put down. The one in the bot side here is going to claim them a dragon, claim them a tier 1 turret, and the mid lane also going to go their way. Natives, that feels like it could have been a straw that has just broken the camel's back. He mentioned that there wasn't particularly a gold lead, nothing particularly swinging the tides either way. Natives now have got a decisive advantage.
They do, and look where it is. It's in the mid, it's in the jungle, it's in the top. Some of the more volatile matches you've got Rumble, Xin Zhao, and of course the Aurelia, who are now feeling a little bit under the pinch. I think Alex, in fairness to him, has managed to come back into the game after the slightly awkward start. Great room from Shawi Kitami, and 1v1 going a little awry, but now this Victor, 7-4-5, bounty on his head. You're looking in the jungle, 5-1-6, bounty on the head. Yaki and Nulu ready and willing to carry this game towards its completion.
And in fairness as well to Edvard, I think there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. So far, this game has been able to temper those expectations appropriately, has looked genuinely very impressive in terms of an MVP. Definitely our content MVP for Ruddy this game, providing solo kills on the mid lane. He's going to need to pull Nulu a couple extra times this game before this game is signed and sealed. And honestly, with the Blitzcrank, there's every world where that happens.
Oh, the jungle is dark and full of enemy laners. Shawi Kitami about to get jumped on, will try and dunk away, but there's just nothing to stand behind for Braum. He melts down. Built gets hold of that one. Chains of Corruption land onto Yaki, but they won't get anything more quite yet. Instead, with the member down, they'll start up towards his Heralds. And 1 or 2 key ultimates, but actually, look towards this in the mid lane. Alex gets a kill onto Rusty Sniper. In comes the cease and desist, but that just brings another kill to the table. Bill gets that one, and suddenly the Rumble's back in the game.
They will never go quietly, Ruddy, no matter the game, no matter the circumstances. Every instance they find, if there's an opportunity to capitalize, they will take it. Yaki and Shawi Kitami overextend as a 2-man in the topside jungle. 4 people of Ruddy go into collapse. Rusty Sniper steps upon a mid-wave with no support. Dead as well. Alex and Bilt combine to make that happen. They're able to take down Yaki as an extra 2-piece. Now, all of a sudden, all those advantages that Natives had taken starting to slip away. The only real tangible asset they've got at the minute are those 2 Drakes. And we've got an Infernal Rift on the board, so it's not something that we can snuff at.
The Summer Champs, one of the greatest orcs who ever touched the NLC, up against the bolshiest for sure. The most exciting, perhaps. And certainly one that is bringing some entertainment to the Rift today. It's not the most elegant, it's an inner city pub brawl, but my god, is it fun stuff. Get your popcorn, start cheering, and find yourself an Emperor to throw a thumbs up or a thumbs down, because we'll be getting executions one way or another. Dragon in 2 minutes, perhaps a moment to breathe. Murphy and Nulu together, both solo laners, going into Alex, who's got a Hex plate now, wants those ultimates up time and time again. You can't blame him.
No, the attack speed going to be very useful. I think the movement speed as well for the Aurelia this game might be a fairly undersold statistic that is going to have a lot of value for Alex. I'm looking really at how these compositions are going to function as well, because there's basically 9 melee champions. You know what? We'll say 8. Ash needs to auto-attack. Varus doesn't really want to. But everybody else is going to get in the weeds, down and dirty. Nulu, of course, battle mage, fairly mid-range in terms of how mages go. So the opportunity for outplay, the opportunity for style to come through is just rife. It's so abundant in these 2 teams. And when you've got situations like that, champions like Rumble and like Braum as well, both can have their own really exceptional sort of moments to capitalize. Looking now in the mid lane as Ruddy, looking for this tier 1 turret, but charge isn't going to make it happen.
Deal.
The rest of it looks like it's going to finish off the turret. Drake spawning in 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh,
is he going again? No, he's going
Go
back.
away.
Okay, this is the ooh, good cornering. Continues to drive his way down towards the bot lane and try and find themselves another shove somewhere else. Snatty Nat drifts his way down towards the bot side. Take that one, Vin Diesel.
It's the only place he could have recalled safely for this Drake, so really excellent
Of course, yeah.
Excellent stuff from Natty Nat. I actually like this build path adaptation as well. We've seen Natty Nat have a few questionable audacious charges, certainly cost his life a couple of times, and with that we're seeing a slight adaptation into... I will be a little bit tankier so that I can buy my team a little bit more time in the front line. Also a recognition that he has a lot of damage on his team as well. It's not like he's paired up with a tank top laner, so they're running a dual threat comp. It is 3 threats in each of the carry roles, and the Xin Zhao adding just a little bit of bonus to that as well.
Yeah, and I think also considering he's not the one that snowballed, he's also the one that is often being punished by a lot of zone control from the side of Natives when he does go in between the gravity fields and the Ash and the Bromar. I mean, it's feeling like a JRPG with all the elemental hazards between electric gravity fields and ice fissures from Brom and fire coming out of the sky courtesy of Built. It's definitely a difficult fight to navigate. It's Built. Flashes away. Chains go wide, and that's a couple key moments there. Flash forward for Shoei Katami, gets a slow on Edward, and the Blitzcrank might be dead to rights. Frozen and concussively blown up. Nulu on a rampage. Deathcap, Ludens, and a Seeker's arm guard. This Victor is certainly throwing out the damage numbers.
Yeah, that stasis is going to be really important as well. Now, Equalizer is still available, but Ruddy... It's going to be tricky.
Natty Nats! He's got it right. He's got it again. Throws out an ultimate to no avail. And Nulu, unstoppable indeed.
And now that's Baron as well. They take it 21 minutes into the game with the jungler down. Ash ready with a Kraken Slayer. And this Victor pumping DPS left, right, and center. It's going to be tricky. They've still got to fight versus Equalizer. Vanguard's edges are going to be available as well in that chain of corruption, whittling its way down very quickly. I think Natives are going to struggle here if they can allow Ruddy access.
It's been a game of opportunities and opportunistic picks. You were talking about it felt like Natives have been drawn into the chaos. Well, they stabilize, they get a dragon, they begin to take the jungle and look towards this Baron. Equalizer does a lot. Nulu throws down a Chaos Storm and begins to miss people. Vanguard's edge to the back. Kastar, Alex allowing to run rampant across people just as the amount of Smurf there. Begins to dash on forward to the Darkin Blades. Execute everyone. Built dead, Alex dead, Edward dead again. Silky's Mouth trying to run away, but the wings are flared wide. And that is an Angel of Death, all right. Wait, Natty Night here throws down the 3 Talon Strike trying to buy something. And it is Nighty Night once more. Down for the count. Rusty Sniper, Ghost running, trying to get one more. The volley will not land, but Silky's Mouth, the one lone survivor, 160 odd HP, is all that remains of Ruddy's health bars.
And Natives stood and fought. They got the Baron. Nulu took pride and centered up to defend that Baron. Stasis in the middle of Ruddy, and yes, he gave his life, but his team got the Baron. They took 4 members back, and off the back of the damage that the Victor was able to pump out in the start, Ruddy didn't have a way of taking that fight. Equalizer didn't make its way into the pit, was kind of off to the side, not quite the angle that they'd have wanted it for the optimum team fight, and despite the 3-man's Vanguard's edge, really good CC from Yaki, caught Alex out, meant that Aurelia did nothing in that team fight either, and Natives are now prepped to finish this game off.
He's got an NLR, and I suspect he may well have a Zhonya's on his back. This Victor is a monster. No Void Staff, no defensive options until just now. It is just damage, and it has been unrepentant this game. Alex has been trying. Built come back into it, and it's certainly not like Ruddy have gone down quietly into the night. My God, it's what? 40 kills in 24 minutes. It has been excellent fun. But Nulu is just now another kind of level. And I'll tell you what, the level, it's 99, and the damage is over it as well.
Yep, that's just getting one-rounded. Unfortunately, AD carry moments. You miss the chain of corruption, and all of a sudden you
Double
do
lift
get
somewhere.
punished.
Haunted.
Well, Double Lift wouldn't have flashed it. Slicky Smack didn't have the opportunity to. That's the slight difference. But Natives already making headway into this bot side. They've got a numbers advantage. They've got a Baron buff helping them out. Tier 3, it's a formality.
They've been here a bit longer, and they say, Ruddy, welcome. You came here last year, but we are native to this one, and we are ready to show exactly why we were the champions last year. We've lost a few of our players, but we are ready to rebuild. As Alex throws down a Vanguard's edge, but I just don't think there's enough. He's a 1v2, and he's just got nothing left in the tanks. Murphy on a rampage.
And at this stage as well, just not quite enough damage on the Aurelia either. Working now, Sterax has been finished. We're sort of opting into that hybrid of being able to survive in the front line, and if you get a 1v1 with Rusty Sniper, absolutely, you know, you're going to come out on top of that one, but the opportunities where that is going to happen are so few and far between. Natives have actually worked so well together as a unit this game, whether it's Nulu holding people away from a Baron, whether it's Shoei Katami trying to escort whoever it needs be on mid waves. Natives so far have been, through this mid and late game, very cohesive. And with 1 minute and 10 seconds,
it's only 25 minutes. It's not even that late.
No, that's true. But I think there's something about League of Legends, at least in season, I'd say 11 onwards. Late game has come a lot earlier with almost every season, right? That like we've already had a Baron, we've got the base broken open on the bot side. End game objectives like Soul are starting to be talked about.
I mean, like post 20 minutes, these buffs are now, you know, team-wide. I mean, the other thing you got to note is this is a game that's been so hyper-accelerated by just the amount of gold in it. Because people have died so much, there's just way much more gold on the table. It's paid in blood, sure, but it's certainly there and it's been spent. It's 3 items pretty much across the board where it matters, 2.5 where it doesn't in some ways, and perhaps on the other side, we've got 30 seconds and a last gasp for Ruddy, who we've counted that perhaps once or twice in this game where they've come back and thrown a sucker punch that's caught Natives by surprise, certainly caught me by surprise. The Rumble, the Aurelia both come back into a game where it felt like they'd had some awkward moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I could have quite easily counted Ruddy out of this game at least 3 times already, and then they just find a fight and manage to get themselves back into it. So one thing that you just have to know is you can never really count them out, and especially when there's a Blitzcrank on your screen, there's always that opportunity that you find one Miracle God Hand, all of a sudden the fight gets turned around. Native's position going to need to be very important.
Eyes on the artist formerly known as Selfie and now known as Nulu, and
No.
He's hooked! He's hooked! A curse from me, I'm sorry! He's been cast a curse, he throws out a cast a storm! And it just doesn't matter! He stays alive! The storm turns into a hurricane, and it's a category 5 disaster for Ruddy, who fall to the swords and blades and storms! The Natives have to bear a triple kill to none other than Braum, who puts them all on ice! They're deep frozen, ice in the veins, and glory in their hearts. Natives come forward and they will be claiming the victory here today.
2 super minions out there back, 3 carries as well. Built, goodbye, buddy.
It was an absolute barnstormer, and by that I mean it really was inclement weather from minute 1.
It might not be
18 to
over.
31, 27 minutes, and somehow it's still not over.
Yeah, Built
It
did.
should have been over. They were looking for it. They got a Nexus turret. And I'll have to bite back my ending words because Ruddy once again just won't stay down. It's a
Built
last
did
round,
enough.
but they don't hit no Bill.
Underneath those Nexus turrets to bait Natives in, they spent enough time hitting him so they couldn't hit those Nexus turrets. Now, Soul should be secured by Natives here. They thought they could end the game, so they didn't go for it the first time round. Ruddy!
Wait. No, it's not over. Natty Nat in a 1v4. He's down there teleporting in. It's just about to be 1 by 1. More for the chopping block, more for the morgue. The cemetery's never been fuller. Alex, though, maybe you ought to put one on the other side of that equation. Trying desperately to kill Yankee, but they just can't get enough damage down. The Aurelia's time of power is long since over. Aatrox begins to swing his very large sword again and again. And Silky Smath is dead for the count.
Now
So
this time-
is the last remaining members built down. This time you're right. This time it's over.
Natives fought valiantly and came out victorious. 10k gold lead. Didn't even need the soul in the end initialize, and despite an absolute bar-knuckle brawl, they come away with the victory.
Feeling more and more like a Warhammer cosplay. Blood for the Blood God. Absolutely everywhere. I have not seen a game that bloody, that chaotic in the NLC in a very, very long time.
54 kills we totaled out at the end there. So, not a bad effort for a sub 30-minute game. Kudos, golf claps to both teams for making that one possible. And, you know, again, golf claps to Natives because they had almost control 3 or 4 times, but kept on getting sucker punched. Despite that, they were able to always reset themselves and always look at the next objective. They kept themselves a cool head. Okay, how are we going to look to take this Baron? Right, Nulu, you've got to hold, you're the one that's holding point, does exactly that. How are we going to set up around this Drake? Well, even if I get Blitzcrank hooked, I've got Stasis, we've got Braum, Aatrox Vi can fly over the wall, and we've got enough to help us out. They'd always got the contingency plans in place, and it felt like it didn't matter what Ruddy threw at them as we got later on, they had an answer ready.
Yeah, and the early game was exciting. It was pure Ruddy, certainly pure this team. But it wasn't quite enough. They moved to 1-3, another frustrating loss, even if it was a valiantly lost one. On the other side, Natives, now 3-1, now tying first place, continuing to prove that they are a force to be reckoned with, looking deeper and deeper into the split. We're going to cut to a break. I need to get a glass of water for obvious reasons, guys. We'll be back with the analysis for that game and Game 3 in short order. Well,
Not a bad game.
I enjoyed that.
And keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. and we've been doing it since way back. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
Break it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We gonna break out and have some fun. We gonna do what we never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we gonna do.